What's up guys, Bloodshed here. Today I'm going to try to answer the question, what is the next two classes we're getting in Diablo 4? Now we just had BlizzCon, everyone's been going crazy trying to guess the last two classes. So D4 is going to launch with 5 total classes. And we've been speculating nonstop, people on my YouTube videos, Twitter, and on stream all day. Yo Blood, what are the next two classes that you think we're going to get announced here in D4? If you don't know, we had the Sorceress announced. The Sorceress is an amazing caster DPS class from Diablo 2. It's basically going to serve as the caster, the range caster archetype, at least for the launch of D4. We might get future casters, in later expansions or content updates. But yeah, this is the de facto caster DPS. Really awesome class. I had a chance to play it at BlizzCon. It feels amazing. It has familiar things like teleport and frozen orb and Hydra. Really cool stuff like that. And then we have the Barbarian. The Barbarian is different this time around. You can hold 4 different weapons and you're like a tanky melee DPS. You're like the Frenzy Barb, and you also can use things like Hoda and Leap and Whirlwind. Yes, Whirlwind is returning, of course. You can't have Barb without Whirlwind. And what seems to be everybody's favorite is the Druid. Now the Druid is a shape-shifting hybrid class that does have, let me actually bring up some of the spells for you. So the Druid's a little bit harder to understand because it is like a hybrid class. So it has 3 companion spells as of, this is like pre-alpha. So, 6 months from now, a year from now, we might have completely different information. But as of right now, it's like a, it summons pets, but it's not typically a pet class. It has some spell casting, like this boulder is like a mid-range attack. Hurricane is like a huge, it summons hurricanes, you get it, right? And has some defensive stuff here. And it turns into a bear, it turns into werewolf. It's kind of like a Barbarian, like melee, but it's also a caster. So it's basically a hybrid class. So I don't know if it falls into a certain category specifically, but if I had to place it, I would say it's also like a tanky DPS type class. So we essentially, in my mind, have 2 tanky DPS classes and 1 range caster. So there's a lot of things that we don't have, a lot of class fantasies that are not fulfilled as of yet. So let's go ahead and break down what we possibly would need. So we have the range caster, melee 2-hander / dual weapons, that's the Barb. And then we have the Druid, which uses a staff and does some casting. So another thing that we don't have is a physical DPS class. Now, almost every RPG would launch with some sort of physical DPS class. Like you have the Demon Hunter, you have the Rogue from D1, you have the Amazon from Diablo 2. There has to be some kind of physical type class, and that's not being fulfilled right now. We also don't have a holy class. Now you could say like a monk or a paladin or a crusader. We don't have the holy fantasy, the Zakarum, right? Some people are telling me the church of Zakarum got destroyed and there is no light in Diablo 4. And even in the trailer, they said there is no light here, brother. But that could just mean the chamber that they were in. That might not mean in all of Sanctuary. There's not one little smidge of light. So I don't know if there's going to be a holy class, but I feel like it would be crazy not to launch with a paladin or something like some kind of holy Templar, some kind of light, right? So a priest or anything. But let's move on. So physical DPS, range physical DPS, and holy we do not have yet. Another class fantasy we don't have right now is a fast class. Like a lot of classes, like in WoW has rogues. In Diablo in the past, we've had monks. Monks also in Diablo Immortal. We've had the assassin, like a fasty, punchy, or a stabby type class. We don't have. So I think that is missing since Barb isn't too quick, even though with Frenzy, Barb is pretty fast. Druid can charge kind of fast. The wizard was the Sorceress now. The Sorceress doesn't cast that fast, but there is a few spells that increase your movement speed. And finally, we don't have a sword and board type class. I know we have a lot of melee. We're melee heavy right now. We got the Druid, which, there's no shield and there's no sword and board fantasy right now. But the bear is kind of thick and it can tank some hits. So maybe you could say we don't need a sword and board because we have the Druid. And the Barb, although it's not traditionally tanky, it's more of a dual wielding barbarian, like bleeding and cutting and shouting and stuff. So we actually don't have that either. In editing the video, I realized we also don't have a pet class in the game. So shout out to Witch Doctor, shout out to Necromancer. I would think a Necromancer is more popular. But I'm gonna stick true to my guns on my predictions and we'll see how it all pans out. Right away, I'm thinking you take Holy and you take Sword and Board, and we just had the Crusader. So I believe we're gonna get a Paladin. That's 2 out of 4 class fantasies that it fulfills, and they want to make as many people happy as possible. I believe this is one of the classes that we're gonna get. There was some artwork on the panel that they showed us. Let me bring it up here on screen for you guys. Now, although it doesn't show us too much, it does give us some clues to what potential classes might be. And this shield looks like some sort of Paladin shield. It doesn't look like something a Amazon would use. Barbarian can't use it. I don't think Barbarian can even equip shields. And Druid, I don't think can equip shields either. So it does have like this white thing on it that kind of looks druidy, like the way it's kind of coming down like roots. But I believe that's like some kind of Zakarum symbol. And let me know in the comments if I'm wrong. So I think it's going to fulfill 2 out of 4 class fantasies that we talked about. And this one shield to me just speaks like Holy. And I think they're going to bring back Paladin. Paladin's way more hype since we just had Crusader in the game. And I think they want to bring back old classes, you know, some old, some familiar, and yeah, I think people will really like it. So out of our remaining 2 class fantasies, we have stabby, punchy, so a fast attacking class, and we have a ranged physical DPS. I do not think this game is gonna launch without a ranged physical DPS. There has to be. That would be the craziest thing in any RPG to not have some sort of, you know, bow in an RPG. It just seems crazy to me. So the top candidates would be the Rogue from D1. The Rogue's awesome. I did a playthrough of D1 on the channel, like when it got remastered or redone, got bumped up to DirectX and all that stuff. And it was pretty fun. That was our playthrough. Although not as powerful as the Warrior, the Rogue is an undisputed master of the bow. That's the D1 Rogue. Would be something that would be cool to bring back. So you have some throwbacks to D2, and then you have some throwbacks to D1. I believe rogues can be male or female characters in the lore, so that would fix some, you know, gender locking in 2019. That might fix that situation, because if you were to bring our next candidate, the Amazon, technically there are no male Amazons, although in their culture there are males in society, but they don't train the males. They could always rewrite the lore and say that they are changing their ways in 2019, and they decided to train a few of the males who are exceptional, and you could be that. It's possible. It's Blizzard. They could write whatever they want. But the Rogue, for the sake of gender locking, or you can bring the Amazon and rewrite the lore. While the Amazon skill in the bow rivals that of rogues, the Amazon is also adept in the use of spears and javelins, which brings me to the picture. There's like a spear, and they also can use shields, and they also can be a ranged physical DPS. So you have the shield fantasy, and you have, which also kind of the Paladin also is a shield. So you have another shield fantasy, and you have a spear, and you have a ranged physical DPS. So I believe we're going to get the Paladin and the Amazon classes in Diablo 4. I mean, it could literally be anything. We actually don't know. But these guesses seem to be right. And a lot of people would absolutely love Paladin, absolutely love the Amazon. Let me know what you guys think down in the description. I'm going to be making more Diablo 4 content, and I'm going to be making Diablo 3 content. We have a new season, a new patch right around the corner. So I have to do starter builds and survival guides and all that stuff. Tier lists, probably. Oh man, I have a lot of work to do. If you want to support, you can always check out my Patreon. You can follow me at twitch.tv/bloodshed. I stream there 6 days a week, where we're going to be doing a lot of Diablo 4 talk. I'm basically a D3 streamer until D4 comes out. So that's going to be all for me today. This is the Bloodshed, and I'm out of here. Peace.